Assalamu alaikum, kia ora koutou katoa, bon dia, bai mi hotu.
Bon dia.
We're here at $1 Beach in Metinaro, in Timor-Leste, and we're only 1 week away from leaving after 3 years, and we decided we would stop here and make a video, make a reflection, or just reflect. And we decided, we're teachers at Dili International School, and the way that we teach a lot with our kids is we encourage them and teach them how to be reflective learners. And we decided we would use that framework, that kind of method, I guess you'd call it, of thinking about our experience here in Timor after 3 years. So we're going to have like a few different categories. This is not carefully planned or scripted or anything like that, but our topics of discussion or reflection will be the challenges we faced, highlights, what we learned, like how we personally learned or grew from the experience, and if we were to do it again, what might we do differently? And they're of no order of importance. They're all equally important. So we'll get right into it. And we'll start on a good note, because it's always good to start positively, right? So highlights of 3 years working and living and traveling around and being in Timor-Leste. This is off the top, by the way. Like I said, no script or anything like that, no pre-thought out answers. For me, I'll start if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Yes. Yeah, sure.
So for me, the highlights are the opportunity it provided to experience a new country, a new culture, a new language, a new geography, being in the tropics, and that's been equally, all of those things, the people, the culture, the language have been exciting, enriching, difficult often, challenging, but at the same time, it's been an amazing opportunity. So I will cherish for the rest of my life all of those things. From a professional point, from a personal point of view, I'll start with that. I think I've personally grown here. Not just, due to time, that does help you grow, just the time that's passed. But yeah, the experiences here, you learn a lot about yourself. That's been my experience. You learn about yourself by being outside of your comfort zone. So Timor-Leste has certainly provided lots of opportunity for personal growth. Even a highlight would be even, knowing yourself more in the sense of your culture and your country and how it positions with other people, and Timor-Leste being that we're here. So all of these things are big highlights for me. Learning the Tetun language, it's you never finish learning a language, so it's just, it's been a great learning curve, and also discovering the similarities with Te Reo Māori from New Zealand and all of that sort of stuff. So that's personal and cultural, and then professionally I've had the brilliant opportunity to work at DIS, Dili International School, my first PYP school, my first international school, and that's been an awesome learning curve as well, which is just getting started as it so happens. So yeah, what about yourself, Ajahn? What do
similar
you
issue actually. This is my first time to get experience in a new environment, new culture, living in a new place overseas. This is my first time to live abroad with the new culture, new people, new environment. And then for the professionally, this is my first international school that I work. So yeah, as you said, that living here, we can understand more where we are from. So we can understand more about our own culture, and then the nature here.
And there's a saying that we say in English, you can't see the forest for the trees. So when you're at home, you're in the forest and you can't see it.
Yes, exactly.
So when you leave it, that's when you sort of you're not only immersed in a new place and you're having to absorb everything about that, but you sort of position yourself, I realized what things, I would react to certain situations, and then I would catch myself reflecting on my own response, thinking, did I respond to that as just that because that's me, or is it because I'm a Kiwi? Is it because I'm Māori? And it's only when you're outside of your environment that you get to do that, right?
Yes.
So, that's been cool. So okay, we'll move on to the next category, which could be, let's say, we'll leave challenges for last. We'll leave the difficulties for last.
Okay.
But what about, we've said highlights. What was the other one? Other ones? Okay. Well, no, what we'll leave for very last is the things that we might do differently if we were to come again. But let's just go straight to the challenges. So we talked about highlights. So what are the difficulties? What have been some of the difficulties you've noticed living here?
Living here, infrastructure, for
Yep.
sure.
Okay.
And for me, flight.
All right.
Personally, it's the flight here is not every day because it's a consequence of living in a small country. That we cannot rely on the flight that's available every single day, especially if there are some urgent things like what happened when my father passed away. So there is no flight on that day. It's frustrating,
Yep.
but yeah. that's
But
the
I think,
challenge.
and I think though, to be honest, now it is every day. But at
Oh,
that time it
that was
wasn't.
good.
It is now. But again, even though it's every day, there's from Timor, you can only fly to either Bali or to Darwin, and I think
Yeah,
weekly to
that's true.
Singapore, and it's not a
Limited
there's
destination.
limited destinations and limited options. So getting in and out of Timor can be difficult. But you mentioned the word infrastructure. So yeah, famously in Timor, things like internet quality, roading, electricity, consistency, all of those things need work, need to catch up to a developed country, I guess. But yeah, so infrastructure can be tough. Sometimes too, I'll be completely honest, like as much as I've been enriched by learning about the culture, like like in any culture, anywhere you go, you're going to run up against certain society norms and behaviors that are challenging. Doesn't mean they're wrong, it just means that you're not you're not easily suited to those aspects of the culture. Timor it's got a long history, and a lot of that time it was really closed off. So Timorese, and I can't of course talk about all Timorese people, but typically Timorese people, foreigners are coming here to Timor, but the majority of Timorese people are not going out into the world that much, although many are working and stuff overseas and immigrating to other places. But yeah, so some aspects of the culture can be challenging. But again, this is their country. So at the end of the day, regardless of frustrations, you have to we all have to realize when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And but it's not always easy. A lot of things just keep coming back to those infrastructural things. It's only 21 years old as an independent country, and yeah, that's a difficulty. Sometimes you have to remind yourself that that's very, very young. It is a very new country. Though day to day you can feel like, oh come on, it's 20 years old, like why haven't they sorted out this, that and the third, and then you get frustrated because in the moment when it's affecting you in that moment, it's easy to get frustrated and you can get a bit negative about that. But then you have to sort of like step back when you calm down and just go, you know what, all of the other countries in the world, what's the youngest country in the world? South Sudan, I think, is younger than Timor-Leste. It's only more recent, but Timor-Leste is in the top 2 or 3 of the youngest countries in the world. And if I think of like New Zealand's development over 150, since 1840 officially colonized, and then you've got the Americas and South America, and most of the places in the world have had hundreds of years of development, and Timor-Leste is only 21.
Yeah.
So it's just coming out of babyhood. If even that. So yeah, it's and then of course the famous roads in Timor. It's a beautiful country. Even the background, like we're actually at a beautiful beach, but what you can see behind us is just some mountains. It's mountainous. There's beautiful beaches. It's tropical, but accessing places in Timor is hard. Yeah.
And maybe another one is it might be like customer service. Yes, it's quite challenging too because Timor-Leste has a very good potential for the tourist attraction, the nature spot. Like for many, if you like diving or snorkeling or hiking, this is one of the best place in the world to visit. But so like Timor-Leste still has big homework about tourists
Preparing
tourism,
for people to come. Yeah.
Yes, customer service and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People here are pretty indifferent generally. Like it's what Ajing is saying, talking about service. It's not because the people aren't friendly by nature. Timorese people are typically warm and friendly naturally, but it often doesn't. in our experience, maybe cross over into the hospitality industry or the tourism industry, and people are pretty indifferent. Like, take it or leave it. It's up. They're not going out of their way to often. I mean, don't get me wrong though, because there's many people who do, but there's lots of experiences where, sometimes you wring your hands thinking, these people are, these business people are in the tourism industry, yet they don't seem to know that. Nobody told them, or they're not aware of it. So, again, that's part of, I guess, education development and sort of being more knowledgeable over time. I mean, I would hope that it would, increase for their benefit, not mine. I mean, as a customer, you can be frustrated, but ultimately, if it's for their benefit to progress with their businesses, etc. Okay, another topic was, what was it? It was challenges, highlights, challenges, personal. Well, we sort of mixed them up really. Highlights with personal growth. I've grown a lot here, and also, okay, this is something I forgot to mention. It's really, really important. For personally, I feel really, really grateful. I feel really, really grateful for where I come from and the background that I've been afforded through being from New Zealand. The English language, as well as education and developed sort of opportunities that I've had growing up. And of course, New Zealand, people in New Zealand we have relative poverty and wealth and education, and we have our own version of relativity, but compared to Timor, I feel really blessed and lucky for what I've had in my life. And because people here, many, if not most people here are really struggling. Like just it's hard though, because you'll hear people say things like, not only in Timor, just around the world in relatively poor countries, they'll say, oh, they're poor, but they're happy. They've got this and they've got that. And it's true. It's actually true. Like typically, Timorese people are always singing. They're always dancing. They're always laughing. They're always eating. They're always, very social people, musical people. And that's lovely, and that's whether they're poor or not. That's typically what you'll witness with Timorese people. But at the same time, I'm always wary of romanticizing the poverty, and because typically people from Western countries will often do this, and I've caught myself doing it in the past, where it's like, they're poor but they're happy. Let them be. It's like, you try being that poor for one day, and see how happy you would be. Like, it's easy for us from privilege. From a privileged position to say, let them be poor and happy, but at the same time, I think what I do wish for is that they can have access to good opportunities, a good standard of health and life of their own wish, and just have the opportunities and chances that people have around the world. And if they choose to still live traditionally and a simple life, good on them. I'm all for that. But the idea that they're just going to live from one meal to the next, it doesn't set up choices. If you're just worrying about the next meal, you're not thinking about what choices do I have in life and stuff. You can't do that. You don't have the luxury.
Survive only for that day.
Yeah, so I wish for Timor that they can maintain their strong culture, because they do have good culture here. Links with tradition is strong, both traditional culture and Catholicism and the things that they hold dear. So I hope that they can hold on to those things and yet still improve their quality of life and health and stuff, because poverty comes with issues that we don't see on the surface when we're tourists. We don't see it, but they're suffering from things behind the scenes too. Anyway, so that's, I'm grateful. I'm really grateful for being here, but also for where I'm from. And then last but not least, if I was to come again and live here again, what might I do differently? It's a hard one, actually, because it's hard to know what you don't know, what you didn't do.
For me, I will learn tattooing, the local language here, much better,
with more passion,
more effort.
Yeah, right.
2 years and a half for me is still not enough. And I admit that I didn't make a big effort to learn that, even though we can still
communicate.
We can communicate with the basic phrases, basic conversation. But when we come back here, the first thing that I'm going to do is improve my tattoo.
I agree with you. I'll join you on that. I could have, should have, would have put in a lot more effort to learn tattoo to a higher level. Saying that, I'm relatively satisfied with the level that I've achieved. But in 3 years, I would be lying to say I couldn't have done better. So I think, sure, I would have, and I probably would have tried to get out into the districts even more. We were pretty good in that we went all around Timor. We visited every district at least once, if not more, including Okusi and Atauru. But there might have been more opportunity to explore even further. And I would have liked to have maybe made more close Timorese friends.
Yes, contribute.
Yeah.
Something more to local people.
Yeah.
We had an English club teaching English to local kids, but if we come back, we can do more. Yeah,
sure. What else could I have done differently? Maybe at work I would have been more professionally dedicated more to professional growth and professional development. I learned a lot, and I feel like sometimes as much as I could have, but no, that's not true. I could have, coulda, shoulda, woulda have again dedicated more energy to my working life. I'm not dissatisfied, but I'm not completely satisfied, you know what I mean? Like, there's always room for improvement. What else could we have done? Yeah, I don't know. I'm overall pretty happy. Or everything we did do, we could have done more. Basically,
yes.
Learning the language, learning the culture, seeing the place, like traveling around, making. Yeah, I would have liked to have made. I never got to go to a Timorese wedding. People always talk about Timorese weddings.
Party,
it's a big part of their daily, not daily life, true. But it happens. And I never got to. I always drove past them. We always went past them. And they had some in the neighborhood where they cordoned off the street because they were having a celebration, but I never got invited to one, and maybe I should have just gate crashed one. You know what gate crash means?
No.
Gate crash means when you just invite yourself and just go. We should have gate crashed. Well, we're here for one more week. We're here for one more week. We might just gate crash a wedding. Or if anybody sees this video and knows of a wedding happening and we have time, please invite us, because we didn't get to go to a wedding. And I didn't get to see a crocodile in the wild. That's something that I wish.
People like seeing crocodile everywhere, but not us. 3 years.
I mean, I must admit though, there was many times I was swimming in the ocean, wishing that there's no crocodiles anywhere near me, because it's in the back of your mind.
I don't know why crocodiles are avoiding us.
Yeah, it's in the back of your mind whenever you're in the ocean in Timor that crocodiles are around. And but I never got to see one with my own eyes in the wild.
Yes,
we saw one. Where did we see a crocodile? At Hera, at Victor and Teresa's place nearby. There was in captivity, but it's like I've seen crocodiles in captivity in many places. It wasn't. Yeah, I didn't get to see one. Although, I want to see one at a safe distance. I don't want to see one in the water looking at me from about 6 feet away, because then I'd start praying really hard. But anyway, so
I explore the nature more, maybe
Ramalau. I did not climb Ramalau. I didn't get around to it. I didn't forget about it. It just didn't happen. But you know what, I got a friend years ago, someone told me years ago, it's always good to leave some stones turned or unturned if you do everything in a place, you might not have any reason to return.
Yes.
But if there's some things you didn't get to do or see or experience, then sometimes it's better that you didn't do it, because then when I come back, I'll get to go to a wedding or see a crocodile or climb Ramalau. So yeah, those are the sorts of things. But for what we did do and achieve and experience, I am satisfied. I'm really happy, and I'm forever grateful for the opportunity and this time. And I mean, we don't know if or when we'll be back. I like to think we will be back, though.
Yes.
It seems inevitable to me that at some stage we'll return, at least to visit.
But local friends here.
Yeah, local friends, and see how Timor may have changed or stayed the same, and see the kids in the neighborhood that we taught English, and they'll be growing up and maybe still around, and it'd be cool to come back. But if we don't, we have to be content that the 3 years we spent was what it was, is what it is, and that we did what we could. And I'm relatively satisfied about that. But yeah, for Timorese to Timorese people, obrigado barak ba imihotu, ba oportunidade ihane, serviço ihane, hela ihane. And yeah, forever grateful to DIS, the staff of Carmel and the staff of DIS, and students, of course, the community, and just Timor for everything. What do you think?
Yes. Thank you so much. Obrigada barak ba Emma Timor, ba Aminia colega. Thank you for your kindness, your friendliness, and then thank you for DIS community for giving us opportunity here. And then thanks everyone. See you again next time.
Awesome. All right, we'll sign out.
Bye.